Hi, I'm Jill Clifton of Landscape of Mothers, and I want to talk a little bit about good and bad. So I've made a few videos on why the concept of good and bad can be unhelpful, especially when we're talking about complex situations or human beings or relationships. And I also want to talk about how and why Landscape of Mothers deals with this issue. And one of the ways that Landscape of Mothers sees conflict or difficulty or struggle is the idea that something is a struggle or a strength. So there is a concept too that I'll have to put a reference for at the bottom, that's like near enemies. And strengths and struggles are a little bit like that in Landscape of Mothers. That's that idea that whatever I struggle with is actually very close to something that I want and is highly beneficial to my relationships with my family. So it would look something like Wind Mother is a good example. In Wind Mother energy is something that's her strength is that she's like uplifting, like she can pull us out of the doldrums, she can create change, she can initiate some kind of creative act or creative response. So like new things become much easier in Wind Mother realm, right? Like she's good at new stuff, like she's curious and kind of whimsical, whatever. The thing is that, so those are the strengths. The struggle that's associated with those is that when we're too ungrounded or too removed from the things that hold us steady, that we get flighty, we can get unpredictable, we can get a little chaotic, right? Things get a little weird. And but those things are so close together that we risk taking those creative leaps or trying out something new in the hopes that we're going to find fertile ground for our relationships. And yet the struggle is that sometimes we're getting too far away, right? So like the example could be starting a creative project, right? Like who hasn't bounced back and forth between that sense of like, I'm off and doing the new thing, and then also being like, oh my God, where am I? What is going on here? What is, like, what am I really doing? Like, am I making any sense about this? Does this relate to anything that I was actually trying to do, right? And so any creative project, we can kind of get in that push-pull, right? Those would be sort of near enemies, that these are companions that kind of go together. And the reason we risk being ungrounded is because we really want to be able to tread in new territory. Sometimes we need it when we need a new task or a new skill, or to just try something else out or adapt to something that we've never had to deal with before. So that's how Landscape of Mothers kind of sees conflict, is less that something is good or bad or that we can label it and put it in a box, but more how is it functioning inside of your relationships. Certainly we could, one simple action, which is kind of like letting go, throwing all caution to the wind, can be useful sometimes, and it's not useful other times. And sometimes its consequences are unpredictable. And so looking at it that way, there's a lot more room for self-compassion, self-forgiveness, recognizing that human life is just a whole series of trial and error processes, right? Like, so in that trial and error, Wind Mother is almost constantly present. And so the changes are somewhat, there's an unpredictability, right, to the wind. So hopefully that's helpful. And the reason that I hope it's helpful is that I hope it helps to kind of find another narrative rather than good or bad to describe the struggles that you're having in parenting.